Hey friends, welcome back to our off-grid homestead. It's Lori, and you've caught us in the middle of a series of what we eat for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be making another delicious vegan recipe. Come on in the kitchen and join us. Welcome to Haven Homestead. From the mountains of Upper East Tennessee, we share snippets of our off-grid life, cabin build, and garden blessings. Pour yourself a cup of tea, sit back, and take a peek into our off-grid home and family. Hi friends, welcome back to Haven Homestead and welcome to my kitchen. It's Lori, and we are pulling another recipe out of my little recipe box that are tried and true recipes that we enjoy on our Thanksgiving day. So this is the simplest recipe that you'll probably ever make, and it is for fresh holiday cranberry sauce. I like it for Thanksgiving, but I also tend to make it for Christmas, and if I don't make it, my boys grab the ingredients and they throw it together. It's that easy, and it's really, really refreshing and good. So it's mostly a fresh salad, and I say mostly. Usually I make it 100% fresh. Today I've made one little tweak, and I'll tell you what that is. So I got this recipe from a friend of mine. When I went to her house to do some elder sitting one time, she had a jar of the most delicious red stuff in the fridge, and she said, help yourself, whatever you want. So I got some of that, and I found some crackers, and I just ate and ate, and that was basically my lunch that day. And I asked her, I was like, by the way, what was that? And she said, oh, that's cranberry sauce left over from Thanksgiving. So I got the recipe, and all it takes is 4 ingredients, literally 4 ingredients. So with these simple ingredients, you're going to make a really, really yummy sauce. You're going to want fresh cranberries, and you want a whole bag. And I feel like the cranberries used to be a pound, but everywhere that I go, they're 12 ounces. So maybe I just didn't know. Maybe they've always been 12 ounces. I don't know. We're going to use a bag. We're going to use 1 orange, and you want to keep the peeling on. If there's any like tough stuff like the stem, you want to remove that. It's better if it's organic, because then you don't have pesticides on the skin, because we are using the skin in our recipe, but we can't always find organic. You want 1 apple. Now, if your apple is kind of small like mine, you might want to add 2. And so I happen to have 2 small apples, and this one has a bad spot on it. So by the time I cut the bad spot out, I'll probably have 1 apple's worth. It's okay if the ingredients aren't exactly the same. Okay, and then the other ingredient is based on dates. You can use whatever kind of dates that you want. They're going to be dried dates. And I usually use the little date pellets. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They look like rabbit food, and they're covered in oat flour or rice flour. But I usually get those, and I buy them in bulk, and usually have a bucket of those. But for some reason I can't find mine. I feel like we have them sitting around, but we haven't unearthed them. So we were using these nicer dates that come in a bag. And because these I've had on my shelf for a while, they're pretty dry. And so normally I'm going to use them fresh, but because I know that they're so dry, and I know that I'm going to be using my Vitamix, I'm going to give it a little bit of a break, and I have tried to rehydrate some of my dates. You're going to use 2.5 cups of dates. And so all I've done is put them in a pan with some warm water, and I have let them soak a little bit, and then it's just going to be easier to blend. But you can use them 100% raw, and then it will be a 100% raw recipe. We do have construction conflict going down, but that is a good thing. So that's all we need to do. We need to rinse our berries, so let's do that first. Just so you know, the best price that I found on cranberries this year has been at Aldi. This bag was 99 cents. It is 12 ounces, and they're really nice berries. I went to Walmart and looked, and they also have a 12-ounce bag, but theirs was going for $1.79, so these were almost half the price. Okay, what you're going to do is you're just going to get your... Okay, you can choose a blender. If it's a strong one, you can choose a food processor, which I think would work pretty well. I just don't have one. Or a meat grinder, and I don't have one of those either, so we're using the blender. And mine is a strong blender. It's a Vitamix 5,200. So you're just going to put all your cranberries in. When you get your cranberries out, you're going to want to make sure that there's not any mushy ones or rotten ones. Sometimes they have a bad bag, but this bag was perfect, nothing in them at all. I think having them stored in this mesh bag really helps them from getting slimy. The next thing you're going to want to do is just add everything to your blender. I find that chopping up the orange a little bit helps so that it can get blended. And I think it's because of the orange in this recipe that it is so fresh. Doesn't matter how you chop it, but I do want to get this little end off. But other than that, you're going to keep the peelings on. Throw that in your blender. And this smells really good already because of the oranges. So yummy. I'll chop that little bit off there. Okay, there's no particular order that you have to put this in either. I'm just happening to do it this way. Add your dates, and if you find that you have a little bit of trouble blending it, you can add a little bit of water. And my dates already have the water in them because so many times I have a hard time getting this to go through my blender. Okay, if you have a big apple, add that. Otherwise, your 2 little apples, you just want to take the cores out and leave the skins on. The first time I heard of this recipe, I was wondering how it, why do we want to keep the peelings on the oranges? Just trust the process because that gives it the most deep, intense flavor. It's really, really good. Okay, you've got all your ingredients assembled in your blender. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now all we're going to do is we're going to grind this. We're not going to blend it to a pulp. We just want it kind of roughly ground. And I would definitely recommend your plunger for this. You're going to want this tool to push the ingredients through. Once you get it blended, it's going to have this kind of brownish red hue. And I really feel like I used to buy cranberries in a 1-pound bag. I could be mistaken, but I actually want mine to be a little bit more red. So I'm going to add another cup of cranberries. You don't have to. It'll be sweeter if you don't. The recipe just calls for 1 bag of cranberries. And so a typical bag, at least on the market these days, is 12 ounces. But for my taste preferences, I actually want 4 cups of cranberries. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add these in because I'm the one eating it. I think this is more the color that I want it to be. It's not really super duper red, and there are a lot of dates. So I feel like this one turned out a little bit differently because I use those different kind of dates, and usually I use those small pieces of dried dates. So you can still see the pieces of oranges a little bit, and you can occasionally see some chunks of cranberries. You want to kind of make sure that the cranberries get ground up pretty well because biting into a whole cranberry can be pretty sour, but that's all there is to it. And I really like to have this on crackers or just on my Thanksgiving table, or you can actually use this for a topping for pancakes, waffles, or a dessert. Really good on ice cream. And so that's all there is to it. Fresh cranberry sauce. Try it. Tell me if you like it. Tell me what you think of it. And tell me if you use 12 ounces or 16 ounces of cranberries. And before you come after me and say, why did I add another cup and then say 16 ounces? It turns out that cranberries are not measured by volume, they're measured by weight. So if you have a 12-ounce bag, that is approximately 3 cups. And so if you add another 4 ounces, it's going to be 4 ounces of weight, but the volume will be, it will fill a cup. So that's why I said another cup. One more little tip, if you have your blender and you don't want to clean every little smidgen out, throw in some almond or oat milk, a couple frozen bananas, and then you'll have a pretty delicious smoothie making. You can add other dried fruits or frozen fruits, but that'll get every last bit of goodness out of here. I told you this cranberry sauce wasn't necessarily typical. There are so many ways to enjoy cranberries and other fruit. I just particularly like this one because it incorporates so many types of fresh fruit and it just tastes so fresh. I don't know if you can see around me. The leaves are falling. I can hear them in the forest behind me. It's a wonderful day. So wherever this finds you, I pray that you are safe. I pray that you are well. And until next time, God bless you.